Hey, it's Jag. Today we're grain filling.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a few weeks since my last video. In the time since the last video, I have gotten out to the shop a few times and not filmed. I've just done some things off camera. In the last video, I had redone the belly carve, fixed up this little bump on the arm carve here, and took out the old ferrules and rough made the cavity covers. Since then, I did a little bit more finessing on the belly carve and arm carve, and I made dowels and re-drilled for the ferrule holes. Got the cavity covers sanded down to proper thickness. Then I sanded the whole body and the covers, 120 to 220. I started doing some grain filling. Just mixed 50-50 polyurethane and mineral spirits, and then did wet sand with 320 several times on the body. So of course that slurry that's made when you wet sand does a good job of filling the grain. It did a really good job on the ash back here. On the front, I'm not even convinced this is maple. I think this is probably figured oak. If this is maple, I'm not sure what part of the tree it would come from to have that much open pore. And doing that grain fill didn't really do much to fill the really open pores on here. It looks good, but I kind of decided I'd actually like a smooth finish on this. I started thinking about, or I started looking around and wondering about water-based grain fillers, and Aquacoat kept coming up. I was a little bit concerned about putting a water-based grain filler when I already had put an oil-based urethane grain filler. Like I say, that was diluted 50-50 with mineral spirits. I did some looking and some emailing, checked the Aquacoat support site and emailed with them. And yes, you can put the water-based grain filler, at least the Aquacoat, over this oil-based, very thin oil-based urethane finish, as long as you scuff sand to 220. That's what they say. I'll be scuff sanding this to 220. Then I'm going to fill with the Aquacoat. And if that goes all goes well, the final finish will still be true oil. One of the things that I like about the Aquacoat is basically half an hour to an hour per coat. It dries very quickly, hardens, and you can sand it off and recoat. I'm thinking I'm going to have to do at least 2 coats on here, maybe 3. We'll see how that goes. Essentially, the guitar body is done. We're just putting the finish on it, but I still have some work to do on the neck. The neck is mostly done too. As I said, I want to do a boiled linseed oil. I like the feel better. So I will be doing that, but I need to still scrape the fingerboard. It's got some glue on there from when I was doing installing the frets. The frets still need to be leveled, crowned, and polished. So I have work to do on the neck. So I'm going to start working on the neck in between coats of the grain filler here. Oh, and I almost forgot. I did do grain filler on the cavity covers as well. They're looking pretty good right now, but I'm going to do the Aquacoat on there as well. All right, well, there, as you saw, just very quick, light scuff sanding all the way around. Had a couple of little spots I had to scrape where there had been some drips. Another thing I really like about the water-based, the Aquacoat, you don't have to wear a mask or take any special precautions. I'm still going to apply it wearing gloves. I'm going to actually just use gloves and paper towel to apply it. It's a gel. You can kind of see how it's it's sort of, well, it's a gel. You can trowel this on as well. That's the way you know, a lot of people do it. I just I feel like doing this with the paper is the paper towel is just letting me really get it into the pores. Also, you got a fair amount of working time on this, so you've got a lot of time to go back over and re-wipe if you need to. You don't need to put a lot of pressure on this. You're not scrubbing. You're just pushing this into the grain. Being water-based, this will shrink a little bit when it dries, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to do need to do at least one more coat on this. All right, that's the first coating of Aqua Coat on. I'm going to give that half an hour, 45 minutes, come back and see whether it's cured then. Do another coat and then see how that's coming along then. Using the paper to apply it it worked really well, except on your sharp edges, the paper tends to obviously tear, and little bits of it were in the holes and stuff here, so I had to go through and clean all of that out. I just didn't want that to dry on and then have a harder time getting the paper out of there. The next applications, I'm going to use just the gloves and just smear the Aqua Coat around with my fingers. I have seen people doing that online with it as well. If at the end of the day I don't like that, I'll get some foam brushes to apply it with next time. But I think smearing it by hand is going to work. I'm going to start doing some work on the neck. I'm going to scrape that fingerboard, get that all cleaned up. Once I'm done scraping that fingerboard, it'll probably be time to do another coat of the Aqua Coat on here. Well, that's the fingerboard scraped clean, and a little bit of fingerboard restorative on there. It will need some polishing, but I'm going to wait and do that after I get the frets all done, or as part of doing the frets. It's been probably close to an hour and a half since I did the first coat of Aqua Coat on the body, so it's definitely cured. It's a little bit cold in here today, about 10 or 12 degrees Celsius, so really at the low end of the spectrum for this stuff, but it has cured. So I'm going to do a scuff sand, and I can see for sure I'm going to need to do at least one more coat. I can definitely feel how much more the grain has been filled. Like I say, there's still some spots that need more. So the second coat's going on, but that feels really good. It scuff sanded off really well. Powders up a lot, so it really does load your sandpaper, which is, I think, pretty much par for the course. So like I said, I'm going to forego the paper towel and just apply this with my fingers and just push the filler in the grain, especially paying a lot of attention on the top here. And I'm going to be pretty liberal with it. I was not too sure how liberal I could go, but the scuff sanding, it sands really well. So I'm going to just really get a lot of it on here and really push it into the grain, especially on the top here. Well, I've got that on there pretty thick. Hopefully that's going to work out okay. This is a learning experience for me. So we'll see. But that's coat 2 done on the body. I'm going to just do the walnut on the headstock. I don't think we need to do any grain filling on the front of the face of the headstock itself. Nothing to do now but wait for that to dry and see how we're looking in about an hour. All right, well, I've got 3 applications of the Aqua Coat on the guitar now. That second coat where I slathered it on and just left it, I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't think it through. It's not a big deal. It was just more sanding to get the top level again after doing that. So what I did on the third coat was I applied it all and then let it sit for a couple minutes and then wiped it with a cloth. I've not scuff sanded this third coat. I'm going to put some True Oil on here and then wet sand that and see how that works. Well, that's the first application of the True Oil as a secondary filler, I guess, which is the way I was thinking of it. And it's done exactly what I wanted it to do by not scuff sanding that aqua coat first and then just going right to the True Oil and wet sanding it in with 320. And it looks like it's kind of final filled all the last little bits of grain. So I'm going to let this sit for here for about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to wipe it off with a cloth, turn the guitar over, do the other side, and do the sides, and then put this off to the side for a while to cure. And I will start doing the boiled linseed oil on the neck. I've decided not to do any True Oil on the neck, at least now, for now. All right, well, I, off camera, sanded the neck up to 600 grit. I had already sanded it, I think, to 400 or maybe 600 like a year ago. But I just thought it could use a little bit more sanding and cleaning up. So I started with some 320, kind of smoothed it all off. Then went to 400 and then to 600. And I was going to go farther, but it feels good to me here, and I don't see any scratches. It may look a little flat on the headstock, but I may still decide to do some True Oil there and give that a little bit more sheen. But this is one coat of True Oil, or sorry, this is one coat of boiled linseed oil. I'm going to probably do 3 coats. This has been on for about an hour. I wiped it down after about 20 minutes and then let it sit in the sun. And it's not feeling tacky, so I'm going to do a light sand with 600 and do another application of the oil. You don't want to go through the layer that you just have done, so you're just doing a light sanding just to take off any nibs and you know, any little impurities that are still there. I forget who I was watching. I was watching somebody's channel and they were saying they couldn't figure out how they would do all of their initial sanding with their orbital sander, random orbital, and everything would look good. And then they'd start sanding with the finer grits by hand, and they couldn't figure out why they were getting all of these straight, fairly deep scratches all of a sudden showing up. And he finally figured out it was his fingernails. So I'm being really careful not to dig into this body with my fingernails while I'm doing this. And I'll take it out in the sun and look for any obvious fingernail scratches once I'm done sanding this and before I put the next coat of the oil on. This neck is feeling really good. I really like the feel. I've been one of those guys for years, at least 40 years, who first thing I do on a guitar is take the finish off the back. If it's one that I'm going to play a lot, I have a lot of guitars that still have the finish on the back, but I don't play them a lot. And it's a lot of work to get that off of a pre-finished guitar. But this one, I definitely wanted that silky feel of almost raw wood. You're not really removing material. You're just in really, at the end of the day, you're just sort of polishing the neck. Sanding that, even though the oil was still a little bit wet, shall we say, has really brought this to a nice sheen. One thing I was going to say is if I've done this on my amp cabinets before, the finish that I do on there. If you want it to dry a little quicker and it's the smoothness you want, you can put just a few drops of Japan dryer on a cloth and just rub the finish down, and that will help it cure a little bit faster. And you do want to make sure, with boiled linseed oil, any oil-based finishes, you want to lay your rags out flat on the floor or over a table edge or something. Don't bunch them up or leave them crumpled up. They can self-combust. So leave them out flat until the oil or finish dries on it. A friend of mine used to say till it turns into a taco chip. And then you can dispose of them in the garbage, or I kind of put them in a can and burn them up anyway, just so we don't have a potential issue. I'm just trying to do a nice, even surface coat on the neck, and I don't want it super thick or super wet. I'm not doing the fingerboard. I will be doing the fingerboard, but I still have to crown level and polish the frets, and I will do the I will sand and polish the fingerboard as part of that. I'm really happy with how this neck turned out, considering this neck started out, if you've been watching the videos or you've gone way back, this started out as a blank, a failed blank for a lap steel I was going to build. And I didn't really know what to do with this, once I found it wasn't going to work for that purpose. And I had it sitting around, and it was sort of the decision. Originally, I was going to not be doing a full scratch build because I've never built a guitar neck before. Bodies, things like that, I'm good with. But a lot of guys, Rab Knox, I think NSJ Guitars, and I think even Mickey at McD Guitars, all kind of said, you know, why not try building a neck too? So I did. And here we are, a year and a half later. Although that's not what took all that time. Life gets in the way sometimes. But anyway, there we go. I'm really happy with that. That's starting to look really sharp. I just love the way that neck works, and the headstock turned out way better than I thought it would. That's a good day's work, actually a few days worth of work. I've been squeezing this in over the Canadian Thanksgiving long weekend, so probably 2 or 3 days worth of work on here. But we've got the neck, 2 coats of boiled linseed oil. I'm really happy with how that's looking. Gonna let that soak in. And there we have the guitar body. First couple coats, I guess, of true oil on there. That will still need to be sanded back and several more coats applied. Like I say, anywhere between probably 3 and 8 more coats, but I'm really happy with how it's looking. That aqua coat did a really good job of sealing up the end grain on the guitar as well. It's not soaking in the true oil really any more than the rest of the body. So I'm really looking forward to my next day in the shop. I've gotten a lot done over this long weekend, so really happy how things are going. Definitely on the home stretch with the guitar. Still have the fretwork to finalize, and then basically just assembly. So like always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, share the video, check out my band One Soul Thrust. The link is in the description below as always. And until the next video, we'll see you.